Hello and welcome back to the Smoke Room. We will be finishing out the Murdoch route. So this update basically encompasses the good ending for Murdoch, and it does technically have the bad ending, but it's not completed yet. There's still some missing stuff for it, but for the sake of playthroughs, I'm just gonna do the good ending, and that's it for Murdoch. Anyways, if I recall previously, we were looking for Dahlia Burns at the school because she's been missing this entire time. The whole town is on fire. The Burns parents are missing. Holly Burns is at who knows where. She's probably upset over the fact that she's not gonna get married with Jim. Jim probably doesn't care. The only real thing that he cared about was Murdoch, and now he knows that Murdoch doesn't really care about him the same way that he cares about Samuel. So, yeah, poor Jim. He wasn't an antagonist in the story, but he wasn't the good guy either, but he wasn't the bad guy either. He's just somebody that went with the wrong family, I guess. Anyways, they are all at the schoolhouse now. They saw that there was some weird random person downstairs. There was a whole lot of stuff going on. So it's Jim, his two friends. I forgot her name, the cat girl and her friend, and Murdoch, Ralph, and Samuel. So they're all together, and Samuel has just found Dahlia Burns. She's been hiding up in the observatory, observing the stars, and depending on what you answer to her, she will either stay up in the observatory and force Samuel to go down without really saying where she is, or you can convince her to come downstairs. But that is, it takes a lot of, not guessing or anything, but it's just, I would say it was kind of like a pain, but I kind of cheated a little, so yeah. Anyway, so yeah, the consequences of bringing Dahlia downstairs are about to be seen now. So yeah, without further ado and without any more yapping, let us finish out the story. If you must know, I was hoping to avoid involving Murdoch in what is to come. My appearance won't provide him with comfort, but it can provide him truth. Take me to him. All right. I'm gonna back up real soon, and you're gonna follow. Do we have a deal? We do. I back up, always looking forward when I reach the ladder. I put one paw behind the other as she approaches, following me down. Out of the observatory. Out of the library. Jim and his friends are waiting on the steps with Cynthia. They turn their necks when they hear us walking. Dahlia? Murdoch's voice comes from the end of the hallway at the other side of the staircase. Murdoch. Why were you at the wedding? I had duties. That doesn't matter. Everybody was looking for you. This couldn't wait. I would have been stopped had I told anyone. Well? You wanted answers, didn't you? Prove that I can trust you with them. What is she talking about? Everybody who needs to understand already does. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? Remember when we saw a cellar downstairs? There was a light coming from behind one of the shelves. So what? Do you really think that it's a good idea to go poking around down there, Sam? Whoever was down there seemed like they wanted people to stay out. Well, if there's an arsonist, I like to make sure that he doesn't have an opportunity to smoke us while we sleep. What makes you think that he's the guy? I figure that if he wants to light the whole town up, then this place is probably next, right? Not necessarily. We have no understanding why somebody set fire to the town. For all we know, they've already fled. It wouldn't hurt to make sure. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Fear isn't becoming of you, Jim. Asking for rational explanations for something risky isn't fear. What manner of pussy talk is this? I don't like the way that basement smells. It's an evil kind of smell. A few of us flinch when we hear Lucy's voice. She's so quiet that a few of us had forgotten that she was here. I ain't going down there. I don't think anybody expected you to, my dear. Cynthia puts her paw on her temple. It's something that she does whenever she's very irritated. Right. But does it make sense to leave the front exposed? How about the men go downstairs and the women stay upstairs? I don't think that it's a bad idea to keep a lookout for looters, and we can take sleeping shifts. I'm not staying up here. Cynthia gives her a stupefied look. But why? Because at this point, I need to know everything that I can about this goddamn school. Don't you see that something is very wrong here? I can know something's wrong without needing to prod it with a stick. Maybe try using a knife sometime. That's the only way to get what you want sometimes. Not the sort of things I want. Me and Lucy are staying upstairs. I think it's a good idea to keep a lookout anyway. If it's just the two of us, we aren't going to be able to take breaks or check on the rest of you. If I do a quick count of everybody coming. 8 people managed to get in trouble. You shouldn't come down for us anyway. 9 people, but agree. I think it's safe to say that you can't take whatever got us. Just be careful, Sam. I feel good about the odds, Cynthia. You'd be surprised how quickly mistakes can stack up. Some things are better off not knowing if it means that you don't piss off the wrong person. I suppose that the same goes when people get left in the dark for far too long. Now I know that this isn't going to sound sensible, but I think Lucy was onto something when she thought that there was something wrong with that basement. I don't know how to tell her that both Murdoch and Blythe were reading Dahlia's messages. She knows something that she wanted somebody to find. But for some reason, she couldn't never just come out and say it. She's afraid about it getting traced back to her. But why? Just trust me when I say this. I don't feel like any force on heaven or on earth could stop some of them from getting through that door. Something about the way that I said that must have scared her. Jesus. She puts her hands on her hips, sighing with exasperation. Okay. Can you promise that you won't let anybody know Lucy and I are here if you get caught? Can you at least promise that? Well, there are 8 of us. 9. Nobody will know because of me. Lock the door behind us. Already planned to. One by one, we descend into the basement. The stairs creak beneath us quietly. I don't know if it's just paranoia or the real sensation, but I do feel like we're being watched. Melissa points out where the false shelf was, and we pulled it back. The metal door gleams back at us. The corridor behind is too dark to see how far it goes. I see a lock with 4 dials. All I have to do is put in the right numbers. Dahlia's riddle is still fresh in my mind. There is Canis Majoris and a Canis Minor. Orion has a belt. Its handle is Polaris. He is God's brightest angel. I suck in air as I grab hold of the lock in my hand. Through a lot of trial and error, the code is actually... I feel a click. The lock is loose. I can pull it off the bars. For some reason, the air feels a little lighter, like pressure from the valve being released through a nozzle. Ralph lets out a one-note laugh. So, how did you know how to open that? I'm not sure if I should say that it was Dahlia who left us the breadcrumbs. Seems like she's gone out of her way to stay out of this as much as possible for whatever reason. Must have been one of the combinations that we've come across in Mother's office during the search. Ralph looks doubtful. I can tell from the look on Blythe's face that she doesn't believe that for a second. But neither of them speak up. Don't go leaving us in anticipation now. I'd like to see what's inside as well. Hurry up. Just make sure that somebody keeps a gun aimed forward. Whoever we saw before is still probably down here. The fake wall moved a little too smoothly for the kind of thing that it was. There was a light switch on the side of the wall too. It works. It doesn't sit right with me. What we see behind it doesn't make much sense neither. A long hallway decked with polished wood, the kind that you'd find at the front of a soda shop. Ralph surveys the shelves and lets out a low whistle. Laudanum, heroin, strychnine, and milk thistle. There's loads of medicine in these cabinets. Some of these brands I recognize. Some of this looks like it was personally sourced. He chuckles to himself. Somebody's been stockpiling for a very long time. Reuben looks around himself and hums. Say, Jim. Yes? Jim sounds a little more strained than usual. He doesn't seem happy to know about this room. Do you think that it's possible that this building was initially used as an infirmary? Jim is still looking at the shelves rather than Reuben. Why do you say that? I can see that there's also a door frame at the end of the hall that leads into a larger honeycomb chamber with a domed roof. There is a door at each end. I knew your mother was severe, but I don't think that she'd build a gulag beneath the school. No. Dahlia shakes her head. These rooms were built before her. Neil's eyes narrow. And how would you know? She points at the wall. See the date marks on the lumber? Says 1855. No need to be on guard. I was merely trying to lighten the mood. You had the right idea. These doors only lock from the outside. I idly unlock one of them and swing it open. Now wait a minute. Sam, what do you... I move out of the way to show them what I see. Just a little room with a small desk and a made bed. Bit plush for a prison, ain't it? What's that supposed to mean? I mean, all the county jails gives you a pillow if you're lucky. You've been arrested? All eyes look to me. Of course. You all know what I do. The ones that don't know about what I do for William seem to buy it and look away. My cheeks feel a little bit hotter. More support for my infirmary idea. It's not unusual for schools to host infirmaries during an epidemic. But if the local churches took up that responsibility and the facilities were never used, these facilities were never used. At least not in our time at school. So, who is still making the beds? Why are they making the beds? Take a look. The cat pulls a chair away from the wall. Next, she pulls away the desk. Then she points down. I blink to make sure that I am not imagining something. The floor is looking up at us. Carved into the wood is a strange eyeball. It's draped in the heavy eyelid of its sinking skin. It's so detailed that I have expected to blink. There are words carved below it. Just his look. That is unexpected. Ralph looks down at the big eye and chews the inside of his cheek. You think? I mean that it looks like drawings that I've seen of Baylor's evil eye. I take a look at it again. We're all looking at it. Time seems to pass a little slower when I do. So I speak up. Who? Murdoch clears his throat. He is just a monster from old Erie mythology. Not exactly something that you'd expect to see out here in the desert, even among the immigrants. Blythe ignores us and hooks her claws into the carved lid. The trapdoor rises, letting out a noise like it's yawning. There was a drop below, but just a small one. Blythe doesn't hesitate to hop in. "Hey, you shouldn't do that." He says it fairly casually. The door closes after her with a clang. I reach down to grab at it to open it back up, but it's stuck. My heart jumps in my chest as the rest of our party rushes forward. Then it opens. The cat's head pops out. "Just fucking with ya." The tense silence lets her know that none of us appreciate that. "There's more tunnels down here, but I don't think that it leads far." "Would we even fit down there?" "I can if I crouch. A grown man definitely could if he crawled on his hands and knees. But it gets wider the farther you go. There's a chamber with a big capstone in the middle of it. I need somebody big enough to help me move it." "Hell no." "Okay. I don't give a shit who does it, but it's gotta be somebody with strong legs and arms than I've got. This thing is a bitch to move." "I'll go." "I said stronger arms and legs than me. What about the rich guys? They're big enough." "I haven't made it to where I am in life by dropping into dark holes. I'd just be in the way." Jim looks between the two of them. They both seem to be avoiding everyone's gaze. "I'll go." That snaps their attention back to him. "Now that's a bit cavalier of you, don't you think?" Prodding at deep holes in the earth certainly is his speciality. If I'm going to be here, then it strikes me that I should be useful. The jab rolls off the dog like water on wax paper, but the cat's fur bristles. "Make better decisions and you won't see how useful I am with a tourniquet." I motion at Reuben. I agree with him. "If the five of us go together, will you come down, Sam?" "For what purpose?" "I think that I need to know what's down there." "It won't be anything good." "It doesn't have to be good if it explains what's going on down here." He looks back at his sister, then lowers his voice. "She's still not telling me something. If it's about the particular about what's going on with this town, she might never say. It might be something that she needs me to see for myself. But what would be the point? And why's it gotta be you?" He doesn't answer immediately. "You don't even know what you're looking for, do you?" He scowls at me. "Are you coming or not?" Murdoch has already disappeared into the hole, with Ralph following closely behind, a flashlight in his paw. "It's up this way." She sure as hell wasn't lying about how narrow the tunnel was. "Is that even safe to go through?" The walls here are unnaturally smooth. I can hear Jim's voice right next to me, but I can't see him as clearly. Whoever did this used an acid compound to melt through the solid bedrock. You're climbing through a solid rock, and there is no indication of fissures. He sounds a bit unnerved when he says that for some reason. "So what's the problem then?" "This looks far more stable than anything that I've ever seen in the mines. This would have been an elaborate, expensive, and time-consuming process. So then there's no reason to stop going." Murdoch sticks his head into the hole first, and then wiggles his way past dirt and roots. His tail disappears into the earth. "That's not the point." Murdoch seems uninterested in listening. I hear him grunt and grumble as I follow his twitching tail through the slim passage, short enough to move through with ease, but just deep and dark enough to make me wonder why it exists. I touch the wall to follow it along, and Jim is right. It's smooth to the touch. For some reason, I get the same feeling that I used to get back at the church my parents used to take me to. It was a feeling that I'd only get when the service was over, after even the church had cleared out. It would just be me and the altar, in that empty room. But it never felt empty. There was always some sense of presence. Something filling up the air that made that empty room feel not so empty. And it ain't never felt bad. And it ain't never felt good. It just felt like somebody was looking at you from every direction through the light. Through the shadows. Places where solitude couldn't exist. When we come out of the hole, I make out the shape of Blythe as she pulls us out. Don't stand up, it's not tall enough for even me. I hear Ralph grunting as his frame runs into me. The light of his torch illuminates the space. The girl's right. None of us could stand up if we tried. The ceiling is domed and the width of the room is wide, maybe 12 feet across by my estimation. It feels like we're in the hive of some weird insect, but the walls were clearly built by men. Damn. Did they just give up? What are you talking about? I mean, it seems like they put more care into the tunnels, then gave up and called it a day. No. Whatever this is, it's intentional. Look at the walls. They were stacked layers of stones, overlapping and spiraling upwards, like no walls that I've ever seen before. If I had to guess, it looks more like something that you'd see in a castle than in the middle of the desert. Who the hell would go through this much trouble to build a ceiling this short? The building's techniques here look like corbelling. You've never heard of saut-terrain, have you? I grunt at him. If I haven't ever heard of it, he sure as hell hasn't. How is that something that I'd need to know anyways? You see them show up in old forts in Erie. Grandma said people unfamiliar with them weren't supposed to go into them, so people would seal them up with rocks when they found them. She'd say shamans would use them to communicate with the other world under the veil of perfect darkness. But the books that I looked into suggest that they were also defensive structures where people would hide in the ground when raiders on the surface were attacking. So we might want to be careful about the capstone. Why? Could be designed to make us fall in. Then why even open it? He pauses like he's thinking about it. Whoever built this? My guess is that they didn't expect anybody to be poking around if they weren't meant to be here. Let's each get a corner. I've got the left. I move to the front and place my fingers under the capstone. Lift on 3. I spread my legs and crouch, hinging my knees. As Ralph begins to count off, I half suspect that I'll see something that I shouldn't, or hear a real loud noise that'll make my footing slip. But it's just really dark and quiet down here. 2, 3. I hear the bunch of us grunt as I shift the weight bearing down on my arms to my knees. Twist it sideways. Slide it off. The capstone scrapes against the stone container it covers as we rotate it, pulling it off. It falls to the ground with a damp thud. The sealed air wafts up. It smells like ash. Give me some light. Blythe hands Murdoch her flashlight. He holds it up over the pit. What's below doesn't look like more than a few foot drop. Smooth black sand. Poking through the sand, there are shards of white. Not a single soul among us, then and there, had a whole lot of doubts about what we're looking at. Somewhat elaborate for a tomb. It's Jim breaking the silence that brings us back to the present. I don't really know what to say, so I say the only thing that I can. I'm sorry about your classmates, Blythe. No, this ain't them. She sounds completely certain. I don't know why, but I wish that I had a little more of what she does from time to time, even when I might be wrong. How do you know? Melissa said Mary wasn't burned. They cut her up and threw her in the water. These are different. She's right. These are burned and tucked away. Where they were placed was marked with that carving. It feels more like an offering than a disposal. What an ugly thought. So, who are they then? I don't really know. I think we all know who does, though. Everybody eyes Murdoch. It seems like he arrived at the same thought before any of us did. He's looking at the exit tunnel of the chamber. One by one, we climb out of the hatch and back to the room. Dahlia waits for us, standing in a corner. She's staring down at one of the beds in the room, making a point not to sit on it. Blythe looks so sharply around the room, her hat almost falls off. She speaks in a tone that's more of an order than it is a question. Where's Melissa? Gone with Jim's friends. They wanted to check the other rooms. Because you know that they'll find other carvings? Everybody just stands a little more still. Right? The small fox adjusts her glasses. Slowly, she nods. For a figure so short, her shadow seems long. I suspect that they will. Won't they? Dahlia. Murdoch's voice is somewhat shaky, but it's sober and sharp. He sounds tired. We're well past the point of surreptition here. Be frank with us now. She frowns. All right. This ought to be enough witnesses anyway. Murdoch pauses. Then he finds his voice again. Did mother or father have anything to do with those bones? That's not the question that you should... His fist hits the door. What did I just say? Murdoch, no. She's just as severe as he is now. You're smart enough to process what the evidence suggests. These bones were here before our family came to this town. Murdoch looks at her like she just had hit him square between the eyes with a frying pan. Then why hide it? You know why. This town needs secrets. This town doesn't work without secrets. Blythe topples one of the wooden desks. It cracks on the floor, tumbling loudly. So she knew about it then? She kicks it again. She fucking knew about it. Yes. She picks it up and slams it again. Ralph wears a very bitter look on his face. It's how she kept Hendrix from running the school, wasn't it? Dahlia's scowl tightens. I'm certain. Yes. All of the evidence of what his grandfather did. All of it down here. You've been telling me about the bodies for months. When did you find out? The spring. Why not tell anybody directly? She doesn't talk for a while. Well? Because if the wrong people find out, the truth doesn't come out. I found out by accident. I was hoping others might do the same. The right kind of people. No ties to the town. The lifeblood of it all. There are belongings down here that I've never seen because I haven't looked. But now that you know that there's burnt remains, shouldn't it be concerning that people knew about it but it hasn't been brought to the sheriff? Somebody else knows about this place and uses it regularly. I've been checking it regularly. So, who else? At the very least, mother or father, right? But you and I both work at the school. We could be implicated in something that we aren't involved in if the wrong person was told, or we didn't have enough witnesses. Murdoch gives her a hesitant look. I don't think that she's lying. But I get the sense that she's still not saying everything. Maybe she doesn't want to incriminate herself. Maybe she's just still scared the wrong person will find out. I have to wonder if a disaster of this caliber is the best thing that could have ever happened to Dahlia Burns. I don't really know for sure. Maybe I never will. Outside in the hall we hear a scream. It sounds like Melissa. Blythe is the first person out the door. I'm the second one out. What the hell do you think you're? There's a thud and then a cry. I hear his voice coming from the door on the opposite side of the chamber from us. Neil turns on his side, taking out a gun and slamming the side of the door with his side. Get away from them now or I'll shoot. Stop right there. Your man charged me first. I know that voice. I yield. How the fuck did this happen? Neil stands at the side of the doorway, holding a gun forward. A much larger rabbit stoops over the figure of a smaller one. His hands are bloodied. So is the steel trap clamped around Melissa's foot. Reuben is lying on the floor. He has a dark bruise on his forehead. He doesn't look like he's moving. She ran in while I was sleeping and stepped on a trap. Harlan? The man pauses before he answers. Sam. I'm suddenly very glad Cynthia isn't here right now. What did you do? Blythe wildly gestures as she speaks. I was getting the trap off of her before the gentleman in the tuxedo put his hands around my neck, and I clocked him with the end of my shotgun. I mean, why is she asleep? She's not the type to pass out from pain. I always carry medicine on me. I put her out so that she wouldn't struggle with the trap. She could still hurt herself if I don't disarm it. Blythe pulls out her own pistol, becoming the second person to aim it at this man. Neil takes his eyes off of the old hair. He doesn't look like he expected her to have one too. Then do it. Take it off. Harlan lowers his hands slowly. He puts his bloodied hands on the trap, pressing something inside as he does. Blood squelches out of her legs as he unclamps the trap slowly. He pulls it briskly off her leg, twisting slightly, and bits of her skin flailed as he drags the metal device off of her like he would a stocking. It's off. She's going to need medical assistance. You took out the medical assistance. I jerk my hand to the crumpled form on the ground. I'm not sure if I'd imagined it, but Harlan looks a little relieved. Unlucky. He's still breathing. Lucky for you, Hare. I have a name, you know. He looks at me, nodding. He said it, after all. Neil looks to me as if asking for clarification. He's the bartender at the Hip. Or at least he used to be. What? Is there some trouble at the Hip? It's burning to the ground, Harlan. He swallows his spit, his eyes still on the gun barrel pointed at him. It's all gone. He looks up and a glint of light shines off the lens of his glasses. Now, that just can't be true, can it? I said that it's all burning to the ground, Harlan. Well, the whole city is burning now, isn't it? Seems like we're not the only ones in for a struggle, are we? Harlan. I'm pretty sure that he's lying. I just can't tell if he knows that I think that. What's going on over here? We heard screaming. Murdoch sees all the blood and then covers his mouth. Oh, Jesus. We need to get her leg wrapped now. I've dressed wounds before. Try not to move her before we wrap it. We need to find sanitizer. There is chemicals in the front in the cabinets. Are you sure? Positive. There was another silence. Don't look at me like that. I've had hours to raid this place, and I know what rubbing alcohol looks and smells like when I find it. They're in the cabinets and near the shelf up front. Which cabinets? They're painted green and they have glass panels. They look like soda pop cabinets. Harlan. The Hare looks frustrated with me. What, Sam? I think that you should talk about how you knew where this place is. Why? Is he playing dumb? He must be playing dumb. Don't you understand what this looks like? Of course He clears his throat. All right. Just listen. I found my way here from an annex of tunnels starting near the train station. The trains are out of service right now. Yes, we already tried, hence why I'm here. His voice is an angry hiss. I followed the voices and found my way here. The voices? These tunnels echo. They named it that for a reason. Don't you mean the canyon? That's not the true source. But ask him later, Sam. Right now, I need you to clear some space so that I can deal with her leg. That girl is still bleeding. Get me some rope. All right. She should never have been down here. Says who? She's been down here making it a hell of a lot longer than either of you. I said that I need rope. I take off my cummerbund. These are adjustable. He presses the dark cloth to Melissa's leg, wrapping it in a good several times before tightening the ribbon with the strap of the loop. Will it be tight enough? Ralph wipes his brow, hands bloodied and eyes red from all the smoke. I really don't know, but it sure is all that we have right now, isn't it? I can help move her to the bed. Just don't let anybody else be alone with them. Especially him. She points at Harlan. Get him out of here. Blythe and Dahlia elect to stay in the room, watching over Melissa and Reuben, while Jim, Neil, Ralph, Murdoch, and myself are left with Harlan. I know something is wrong, and I cannot but feel like we're already down 2 able-bodied people whilst things are getting worse around us. There is still no way to make sense out of Harlan being here, and there ain't no way that I'm the only one who feels the same. Dahlia's words about this place start to feel a hell of a lot more concerning. Who else has been here? Apparently anybody can be, if Harlan of all people is here. I hear Neil and Jim whispering to the hair, but I can't make out what they're saying. But the old man just keeps shaking his head. Me and Murdoch wait by the door until Ralph comes out. That girl okay? I think that she should be fine, but she'll be out for hours. Ralph's eyes narrow in on Harlan, who's flanked by Jim and Neil on the other side of the room. He struts on over towards them, raising his voice. Me and Murdoch follow his lead. Now, what the hell was that guy doing down here again? We didn't get to ask. A good point, my boy. If you'd let me explain, you'd understand that this is a misunderstanding. Do we need to? If he's down here, he wasn't up to any good. So that was him running around in the basement then? I don't know a thing about any basement. I don't even know where here is. Yet here you are. This is a tunnel that connects from the south end of the bank to the train tracks. It's not a well-known trail, but I have worked with them in the past, and I am certain that if they were here, they would back up my claim. You're below the school. What? I can't tell if he's genuinely surprised or not. But he sure as hell sounds it. Then again, I know Harlan had an acting career before he was a bartender. I'm telling you that you're some ways away from the bank or the tunnels. Well, I suppose that wouldn't be impossible now, would it? In fact, I probably would have stayed on the correct course if I hadn't heard the voices. Voices. Yes. Your voices. And you're saying that's how you found yourself down here? Well, yes. As you already know, all hell broke out on the surface. There's looting and glass smashing. Stampedes of people crowding towards the train station, some running over each other waiting for the services to start again. I thought that it would be best to wait it out once the crowd was thinned. Down here in the basement of the school? I told you that I just wandered here. Ralph nods. Slowly. All understanding like. Right. How'd you get in? Harlan points to one of the doors in the chamber. That door to my south must be connected to the bank tunnel. In my haste, I must have picked a wrong door. Normally, there's an arrow painted on the outside of it. If I think about it for a while, the one that I saw must have been blue instead of... Instead of what? The hair shrugs a bit. Well, instead of the color that it normally is. Harlan scratches the back of his head. Now that I think more on it, you all look finely dressed for the occasion. Nicer than most folks tend to dress around here anyway. I take it some of you must have been from out of town? No, but I am one for traveling. I'm from out of town. Ah, there we are. If I'm not mistaken, that means that you lot will most certainly want the first train ticket out of here. And at the earliest convenience. Yes, but we're lying low. Harlan nods. His expression looks awfully thoughtful. Looking for the best opportunity to leave, then? Jim pinches the bridge of his snout. Yes. White. Harlan makes an open gesture with his arms. Okay. Perhaps we can help each other. You gents would be terribly exposed to walk that trip from the school in the middle of the day. Forgive me for my little scare here, and I'll show you the right way to the train tracks. That seem fair? Jim's brow quirks and I see a flash in Neil's eye. They seem interested. I need to say what I'm going to say next awfully careful like. Seems more than fair for somebody who doesn't have a whole lot to gain, don't it? Jim shoots me a frown when I say that, while Neil looks merely curious. All I ask is that nobody presses charges for my scare. But your scare took 2 people out within seconds. Harlan flinches. His mouth opens for a while like he's about to say something. Finally he does. You aren't quite usually this blunt with me, Sam. We never did talk much. Part of my job was making sure that I gave you no disrespect. And that's no longer the case? No hip, no job, Mr. Perkins. Are you accusing me of something, Mr. Ayers? I put my paws in my pockets. No. Just pointing out the situation. You're much faster than I would have expected for a man your age. Harlan looks at me. It's a serious look. Kind of like the one that he'd give me whenever I'd ask him to talk about himself on slower days. I can understand knocking somebody unconscious if you hit them in the head while you're still surprised. It's an easy thing to do. But where did the steel trap come from? That wasn't mine. They're in all of the rooms. All of the rooms? Yes. Everyone? I'd bet my life on it. Murdoch and Ralph exchange a look before Murdoch looks at me. Take a look if you don't believe me. No thanks. I believe you. It's good that you do. There's forces at work here that would prefer it otherwise. Murdoch's ears perk up. When you say that, what do you mean? The hare slowly nods his head. You're a religious boy. You should have a pretty good idea what I mean. Jim scowls and Neil retains his stony expression. I'm not religious. Walk me through it. No. Talking to somebody without faith about this sort of matter would fall on deaf ears. Then talk to me. I stare him down. You know that I pray. You've seen me. Harlan goes quiet for a little while again. You all see things that aren't supposed to be there sometimes, don't you? I wonder if I should answer. Nobody else does. There were the pictures, then the voice. But I haven't heard it for some time now. Your face tells me that you already know. Everybody in this town does, the longer that they stay. If I ain't hearing nothing no more, could whatever that happened to the town be over? I don't know. The fires aren't likely extinguished yet, at least. Harlan leans in. I'll tell you all sorts of people learn about the tunnels too. First you start to dream about them. Then you start to wake up in them. Am I right? I half expect everybody to look at Harlan like he's talking crazy. But nobody is. He looks to Neil. If even the newcomers have dreams, that's how I know that it's bad. Sorry, but I don't know what you're talking about. The hare blinks, surprised. I just feigned interest to see what you'd say. Ah. All you need for support from me was your original promise. Harlan nods enthusiastically, then he looks to Jim, then to Murdoch. This earth is the kingdom of none other than the deceiver. The gates of the kingdom of heaven will only open to the worthy. Do you think that you're unworthy? It's an awfully pointed question, especially for Murdoch. Well, I think that we all deserve a chance at redemption. I believe that that's the reason why we're here. Jim and Neil look unimpressed. Ralph is harder to read. Murdoch looks satisfied. Say, I think it's pretty obvious that I am not in the greatest health. I get dizzy easy, and my heart flutters in this strange way when I'm anxious. I sweat too much. Do any of you have something to drink? Just like the rest of you, I have been running around this godforsaken town for hours. We had to rush. Because there hasn't been any time. Harlan groans. Surely there's a spigot around here? Water in the school is turned off in the summer. In my old age, I do believe my memory is slipping. The hare unhooks a strap around his neck, holding out a container. I believe that poor girl who snagged her foot on the trap was carrying some water. I try to remember if she was carrying this canteen or not. Is that really Melissa's canteen? It is. I remember seeing her with it. Me too. Plus the pattern matches her clothes. That's definitely hers. Perhaps she wouldn't mind us sipping just a bit. She seemed like a good soul. He holds up the canteen. Ralph takes it first. He unscrews the cap and sniffs. It smells like water. The hare shrugs his wrists and the rat hands the container back to him. Well, I wasn't exactly expecting Miss Boyk to be packing whiskey anyway. Just hand the damn thing over. This heat is giving me a migraine. Just a sip. We ought to conserve the supply. But an idea comes to me. It's an idea that I think Murdoch would be proud of, but I can't tell him about it right now. One by one, we each take a swig. I let Harlan see the water go into my mouth. He doesn't look at me for long. So, now that we've come to a certain understanding, Mr. Perkins. Mr. Perkins, would you mind telling me how long you've been seeing things? Since years ago. I wasn't being completely dishonest when I said that they named the town Echo because of all the voices that the earlier settlers heard from one another due to resonance in the caverns. But of course, half-truths occlude the reality of things, sometimes worse than lies can. People in this town talk about repeating events that haven't happened yet. Usually quite terrible things. Or slightly different versions of terrible things that have happened. Neil makes an awful noise. I half expect to see some evidence of pain or sickness. But instead he looks annoyed. I see that we've grown bored of theology, so now we're on to parapsychology. Did I say something to offend you, sir? The whole subject is offensive. Now there's a familiar sentiment. I suppose you don't believe in the world beyond. You fancy yourself a man of modernity? Neil lets out what sounds to me like a long, suffering sigh. Trust me, I respect the showmanship. I really do. But I've run afoul of more fortune tellers and magicians that I would care for in politics. You sound like you don't have much respect for my line of thinking. Neil scoffs gently. Sir, your line of thinking is like a contagious disease. Except in your case, people are excited to get sick for reasons that escape me. Sick, you say? In what sort of manner? It's the thrill of happy lies. When people want to believe in something, I find that they're much more insistent that the thing is true. I've heard this dismissal before. I'm sure that you have. Frequently, no doubt. Not so frequently around here. Well, creativity serves when proper entertainment is scarce. There is nothing entertaining about watching somebody that you know cut somebody open and then finding out about that it has happened. And this has happened to you? It happened to the people in this town. People see themselves hurt the ones that they love and then proceed to do it. Could you explain what you mean by that? Harlan hums. Surely you must know what I'm talking about. Where the sky is as red as it is today? Where the town is always on fire? Admittedly, I haven't experienced anything quite so vivid. My friend and I believe that there's conditions that you can create to avoid the worst symptoms. Naturally, cultures older than our current dominion have used medicine to protect themselves under spiritual warfare. It's more difficult for a spirit to control your body when you can't maintain control yourself. You can trick them into believing that they've won possession. Is that why I can see the man inside of you now? Ralph gives Murdoch a look as if he had just eaten a paw full of bees. He thinks that he's better at hiding than he actually is. In honesty, I think that he would have preferred somebody younger, but he's somewhat desperate. Sometimes I'm not even sure if he's dead yet. Have you ever considered if it's possible to be possessed by somebody who's still alive? The old man laughs, perfectly joyous, perfectly calm. Sometimes I have to wonder. Neil is rolling his eyes. Jim seems entirely checked out of the conversation. He's staring at the wall. Whatever he's looking at, he seems interested. But then again, this is a man who is incredibly interested in rocks. Does this spirit claim to hurt all of the people here? An echo, I mean. Can you hear him? No, but I see his lips moving. Ah. Well, based on what he's telling me, he certainly seems to think so. In fact, he seems to think that there would be no echo without him. So, if I'm able to see him, do you think that I could hurt him? The hare starts laughing again. Well, I certainly won't mind if you try. After all, I think he's been lying to me. For the love of God, please cease this incoherent babbling. So you do believe in God then? It is a common expression. So if you're not a man of God, you would call yourself what? A man of observation. Ah. Very good. Hopefully you can observe my ensuing confusion then. You see, personally I am not sure why you're complaining. You assured me that you only thought that I was a performer, and you admit that you have time to kill. Therefore, my outlandish antics should help pass the time quicker. No? Neil's face remains stony. A change in an act would be more appreciated. How about some slapstick then? Harlan stands up. It might just be the angle of the light, but the shadow that he casts feels much bigger than before. My younger assistant, Mr. Burns, shall attempt a demonic exorcism today. What, may I ask, is his weapon of choice? Murdoch stands up more quickly than I'm used to seeing him move. He doesn't answer the question. He just lunges at the man with his bear claws. None of us expected him to make this move. But he gets knocked back against a wall. What the fuck? I didn't see whether the force came from Harlan or this supposed spirit. But Murdoch was on the floor and I could smell a bit of copper. Ralph and I jump out of our seats, rushing to check on Murdoch. I heard that from the slam. Are you fucking bleeding? To my surprise, the fox chuckles. Just my ear. But Sam? His smile is a little too wide. His eyes don't look focused. It screamed. Murdoch, I know you can't tell right now, but there is something wrong with you. No. I feel great, Sam. Did you hear what I said? I said that it His gaze looks really out of focus. Sam. It screamed. I look over to the others. Jim is still staring at the wall. This time, instead of interested, he looks scared. But he's on his back. His eyebrows are drooping. Neil has his head between his legs. I can't tell if he's extremely bored or just very sleepy. But we all know that it's a bad idea to sleep without agreeing to shifts. It appears that the young man has had some success in research. I'll make sure to pass his knowledge on. As a man of observation, I can tell that you understand how sluggish your body grows. Lifting your eyelids used to be a second nature, but now it becomes something of a chore. Just stay comfortable. The worst part happens when you aren't awake. His voice is strangely soothing. Closing my eyes feels better than I thought that it would. After all, none of us had had the rest that we needed. I can't believe that this has happened. It was only just yesterday that we found her, Miss Burns. Her eyes are closed. Her chest is rising just barely. How the hell did this happen? Miss Burns stares forward, her eyes as wide as saucers. Because this is an evil place, Miss Washington. It was evil and she knew just as much as the rest of us. Yes. Should I have told her that she couldn't come with us? Yes. Would she have listened either way? She wouldn't have. We could have tried to make her. You can't control her any more than I can control you. Shit. Shit. God fucking damn it, shit, fuck, ass, idiot, asshole, balls, garbage. Bly. Melissa? Melissa, are you up, baby? Too dizzy. Not safe yet. Is it? You're safe. I'll always make sure that you're safe. Even if no one else in this whole wide world can. Not me. Check them. I blink. Check who? Others. Why? Does she mean the old man? Surely 4 young men can more than handle him. Mr. Ayers alone could probably handle him, even if he is slow. Checking wouldn't hurt though, would it? I crack the door just to see. This has already been a mistake. God damn it. Not now. This is not the time for this. Any time but now. I see children rising from the hills. No. Some of them are adults too, but they're short. There's girls and boys. They stretch their arms out when they rise, like they're sleeping. All of them wear white gowns. Woven poppies sit atop their crowns. They don't look sad, but they don't look happy either. They look surprised to be awake. They march in on one line. One procession. Each of them grabs the back of their next one's robe, like they're hiding in each other's sheets. I don't think that I will follow them. They don't like that. They will become unhappy with me if I don't follow. So I don't have a choice then. That's okay and fine and fair. So here I am. Here in their endless bed of grass and marigolds. I hear the beach for some reason. We're nowhere near the beach. Does that matter? It never does to them. Regardless, I am here. There was a nice porch to a stone and wood house by the sea. They open both doors. Light from outside floods in, but that doesn't matter. Light does not enter this house, but I do, and so does this procession. We glide up the twisting staircase. We move past impractically placed furniture. We roll past corners that lead to nowhere, ambling eventually to nondescript vacuous somewhere. Shapes eventually fall into place, organizing the architecture. I now see a dark room. blacklit by a crimson wash. The only way that I can describe how it feels is if the light could bleed. Or if light could get an infection. Light that rots and festers. Bleaching rays that stain your skin with some sort of hot poison that clings stubbornly to you like an oily residue. In this dark room, there is a giant bed. It is layered in more sheets than I would have expected on a bed. They travel upwards, covering a figure that somehow is too tall for the huge mattress that it sits upon. It leans over another wrapped figure who lies on the bed. This one is much smaller, but completely cocooned by the blankets. I can't see its face, but by the way that its chest heaves, I know that it's Melissa. She's struggling to get out. I want to help her, but the children grow angry when I do. I don't know what they are, but I don't think that they are children anymore. I wonder what to do. I'm reminded of the butterflies. You're not supposed to let them out of their cocoons early, or else they'll wither and die. But the draped thing leans over her again. It puts its hands on her. He puts his hands on her. I don't know how I know that it is he, but I just know that it is. He's going to tear her out too soon. He's going to tear her out and kill her. Does he think that he is safe because he can't see me? Does he think that I am harmless because he does not look at me? My hands move on their own, even though my mind would have given the message just as surely. To protect what I love, he must die. He must die. He must die. And so the blade slips through him like butter, and goes deep but not far enough to get through him. The silken bedsheets fade into a meek paisley. Crimson bloodstains blossom in the off-white rags. I see the wild eyes of a dying man looking back at me. He's not a monster. He's just a dying person. He tries to gore me with his horns, but I pull the sword out and watch his mouth foam red. The things that aren't children tear at him like he's a feast of warm bread, but they aren't able to touch him. The red light fades. The eyes of one old man fades to another. The dead hair stares back at me. My sword through his neck. His hands on Melissa's throat. I can't help but think that that wound looks strange. If I didn't know any better, I'd say that the poke looks more like a bug bite than a stab wound. I wander over to the trapdoor. I open it up. I let him fall. Then I seal it up. Miss Burns looks over at me. I wonder about what kind of things that she's gonna say, considering that she must have seen it all. But she just says a number out loud. I bar the door with the beds since I can't lock it from inside. I'm not moving it until I know the sun is up. I hear a door slam. Then I open my eyes. Letting somebody drag me by my feet while I pretend to sleep might have been one of the hardest things that I've ever done. But if this is going to work, I know that I have to surprise him. I needed to know whether he was really lying or not. And everybody else needed to know that he'd betray us, that the path to the train was just a trick. I'm in one of those little rooms. I hear the sound of somebody breathing. I put my hands on them and shake them. They don't rouse. When my eyes adjust a bit to the dark, I see it's Neil. Jim is next to him, chest rising slowly. When I shake Jim, his eyes flutter open briefly, but then he goes back to sleep. I crawl over to the next person that I hear. Careful where you place your hand. Ralph, you're awake? Of course I'm awake. I spat the water out just like you did. We're lucky none of us were caught. So there's no doubt about it now. When everybody here wakes up, there won't be any denying. We either shoot him or jump him on sight. What makes you think that everybody's getting up? What do you mean? He just put everybody to sleep. Didn't he? Nobody's hands are tied. A creeping tingle works up my spine. All of the witnesses here suspect him of arson, Isn't that right? If you merely woke up, then I have no doubt that you'd be able to batter the door down. Murdoch didn't drink. Of course he did. I shake my head. No, he wouldn't. I crawl through the dark, listening to where the breathing sounds are coming from. I catch the chemical scent of his lemon aftershave and his sweat, which has a sickly tinge to it now. But I'm sure that he knew that there was something in the flask. And you also know that he put something in his body if he thought that he'd get a chance to get another way of looking at things. He's been desperate to get here. Wherever here is. There was no way to stop him without tipping off the old man. But why the hell would he do that? Maybe because he saw what I saw? There's active charcoal in those cabinets up front. I rise off my feet. I'm gonna bust this door down. But the rat grabs my wrist. Wait. Remember what happened to the girl? He points a long claw at the foot of the door. Light from behind the door shines off the surface of steel teeth. There might be 3 or more of them. If you find something weighted to set them off, I shake my head. No. These kind of traps are loud. You hear them go off in the woods if you're close enough. I look a little longer into the dark. There is enough light to make out the shine of a chain. I step carefully, hunch down. Then I feel for the cool edge of the chains. They are coarser to the touch than I had expected. They're rusted. They must have been here for a long time. Slowly I drag the chain. Slowly. I hear the soft clang of metal. That's how I know where the other trap is. It's too dark to see where it starts, but the sound is enough. This is how we used to snag our supper when the fish didn't bite. Sometimes I'd set as many as 30 a day under hot sun, choked by the warm, wet fog that sticks to your lungs when you try to breathe. I used to think that place was hell on earth. But hell keeps finding me wherever I go. Every day I survive, it makes everything just a little bit easier. If things had been good, would I be alive today? I don't really know. It's hard to know who to thank for the evils that inflict on you. I hear the third clang of metal. The chain is easy to find on this one too. All that I need to do is drag them out of the doorway. The weight of them scrapes against the ground. But I get them out of the way soon enough. I lay them down just as slowly, just as careful as before. I'm just as mindful of the chains, so they're coiled and out of the way. The door is clear. Do you hear anybody outside? I press my ear against the wood. It's thicker than I remember, but there's gaps in the planks. So it's definitely not soundproof. I wait around for a while. I try to listen for sounds of breathing or shuffling around. But there's nothing. If he tries to get to the girls, then they would have likely barricaded themselves in. At the very least, I would have heard a struggle with the door. Unless he had some way to get them to open it willingly. Harlan isn't dumb enough to risk sleeping himself right now. I know that I wouldn't be after what he's done. I don't need to know why he did it. I just know that he did. If I doubted before that he started the fire in his room at the hip, the doubt is long gone. I'm certain of what he's capable of. The question now is just, where is he? Is he hiding then? Maybe, but that doesn't line up with how he's acted. He does damage and then he runs. For all that I know, he could be miles away from us now if he really knows how to navigate those tunnels. Still, I should take a weapon. I remember that Neil has a gun. Turning around, I loom over his body. I move his arm, and it seems like he's waking up. But he just grimaces and goes limp again. Like he's having a bad dream. I can see the imprint of his revolver making a dent in his coat pocket. I'm just going to borrow this for a little while. Sorry. Ralph, help me with the door. The rat looks straight forward. I probably shouldn't move around too much. I give him a look. Why? I had to hold the water longer than you. He knew that I was a chemist. I swallowed some. Shit. So he's going to need medicine too. Do you know what kind of poison he used? Nobody's having violent seizures, so that's the good news. If I had to guess, he used death cap. That one puts you to sleep before you go. 50 grams of charcoal would be enough to cover the toxicity for adults. 50 what? Just knock the door down and I'll measure the proportions. I exhale as I rise, looking back at the door behind me. I need a running start. I stare forward. Then I move as quickly forward as I can to make my body go. Before colliding with the door, I turn to my side. I slam into the door and hear a crack. A dull ache of pain runs through my shoulder. The force of my body wasn't strong enough to break the door, but the latch had rotted out. The door is open. I see somebody staring right at me. I flinch, expecting to see the angry eyes of a hare staring back at me. Instead, they're the cold eyes of a young fox. He isn't here for long. If he ever really was. If he's the one Murdoch is doing this for, I don't think that he should trust it. Especially if it might be talking to him. For all I know, it's whispering in his ear, just like it was whispering in mine a few days ago. But I don't have any control over what he does. Ralph stumbles out behind me, slumping, barely hanging onto the doorframe. Help me to the cabinet. I wrap his arm around my neck. He's not too heavy to carry. Just awkward. You know how to use the scale, don't you? I feel the corners of my mouth turning up. Yeah. Ralph lets out a grunt of surprise. No kidding? We had to wait meat in the butcher shop back home. I didn't take you for a numbers sort of fella. I'm not. I just wrote them down. That will be enough. See that cabinet there? Yeah. I saw a scale in there. Pray that it works. I open the compartment. It looks awfully clean for a place that hasn't been touched for 50 years. Of course, I doubt that anybody believes this place is really abandoned. You should also see a bottle with the label activated charcoal. That's one of the things that we're going to need. There's something else too. A bottle labeled milk thistle. What is he talking about? What if it's not here? I paws glide across a small bottle with a green cap. It's what he asked for. Here it is. Did you find this earlier? No. Then how did you know that it would? A good poisoner usually carries an antidote. We're lucky that we're not dealing with an amateur. If I wasn't certain that we were dealing with death cap before, I am now. Weigh the charcoal. How much of it? All of it. Slip a piece of paper on the scale before you do. All of the supplies that I need I can find in the cabinets. I would feel better about that if I didn't know what that meant. The paper shakes a bit as I put it on the scale. All of the black powder comes out of the bottle. It doesn't seem like that much. I move the weight slider from one direction to the other. It tilts to one side when I get to 400 grams. Then I move the smaller slider. It balances at 17 grams. There's 417 grams here, I think. Okay. I'm starting to fade. So here's what you have to do. Make everybody drink 50 grams of charcoal dissolved in 1 hour. Add just a pinch of that milk thistle. That'll help our livers if they aren't already damaged. We'll probably throw up. After 2 hours, we'll need 25 grams of charcoal every 2 hours. Just 2 more times after the first should be good enough. Ralph slides to the ground. Wait. But what's the fastest way to divide it all up? He doesn't respond. That must have been the last of his energy. Shit. Okay. Okay. I have 417 grams. For the first dosage, I need to divide all of this powder into halves. Half of the dosage is over 200 grams. That's 15 grams per person if I divide the jar of water into fourths. That's the first dosage taken care of. Now for the second and third dosages. I should divide the remaining powder into half again. Okay. Then I should divide the mixtures into 1/4. I have the dosages mixed now. Am I done? Nope. Shit, there's something missing. And this part you have to type out. Milk thistle. The milk thistle. Jesus. Okay. Ralph. I crouch down with the medicine in my hand. He rouses for a moment, looks at me with bleary eyes. He sees the jar in my hand and opens his mouth. I prop him up with my arm. He struggles to get it down. It doesn't seem pleasant. But he finishes it. Feeling any better? The fuck would I be feeling better? Do you know how long this takes to work? He certainly sounds better. Don't waste any more of your time on me. Go help the others. Jim and Neil are both easy enough to medicate. They cooperate with me and drink. For Jim, it goes down easy. Neil does his best but sputters. Now just one left. Where's Murdoch? I don't know why I expect anyone to answer me. They're all out of it. I think I saw him lying at the front. But I hear something at the back of the room. He's there, lying over the trapdoor, staring at the eye. He wasn't passed out like the others? I wonder why. Murdoch, sit up. I want you to drink this. He doesn't answer me. Hey, I'm talking to you. He still doesn't answer. I kneel down and put my hand on his back. He flinches. I suddenly realize that he was sleeping with his eyes open. That doesn't seem natural. But that doesn't matter right now. I'm flipping you over. He doesn't really get to argue about it. He looks up at me, supine on the floor. I kneel down and let his head rest on my arm, bending him upward. You need to drink this. He nods. He's the one who struggles most to get it down. But I make sure that he does. I wanted to ask him why he drank the water. But not now. Ralph said that they need time. I'm worried about them. Worried about the girls too. I haven't heard anybody for a good while. But when I check the watch on Jim's wrist, I can see how late it is. They probably found somewhere to sleep. Or to hide if they heard something. I'm not sure what to do with myself to pass the time because I can't be the one to go to sleep. I'm worried that I haven't heard any noises that could sound like Harlan. But I'm growing more confident that he isn't here anymore. I feel my body go slightly numb as my eyelids droop. But then somebody starts to retch. It seems to be Murdoch, judging by the sound of it. Ralph said that that was a good thing, I think. I go fetch the other bottle of medicine. But then somebody grabs my sleeve. Hey. Murdoch? You're right here? Should I not be? I thought that was you over there in the corner. Jim and I probably sound fairly similar when we throw up. Congratulations. It's the muzzle shape. You're supposed to be throwing up too. I already did. You slept through it. No, that's no good. Why didn't you wake me? You look like you really needed to sleep. No. If you threw up your medicine, that's when you're supposed to get more. I don't feel that bad. I don't care. There were instructions. You're getting more medicine. Murdoch looks like he's about to say something, but I don't let him. I'm getting up. I'm going to the door. He hooks his arm around mine. Can't you just sit with me for a moment? No. Medicine. He doesn't seem happy with my answer, but that's too damn bad. It makes him follow me out into the hall and back into the chamber with all of the medicine. I don't think that he should be walking around right now, but it doesn't matter. He's leaning over the table, barely able to keep himself up now. He's obviously still not okay. So I'm going to make him drink this. Open your mouth. Okay. I shove it in his mouth. Take it. He cringes and nods. Swallow. I pull back his head. A little forcefully. It might be because I'm a little angry with him, but holding him this close sends chills up my back. It's a nice feeling. I don't want to lose it. How dare he do this to me? His life isn't just his own anymore. It's mine now too. At least this time getting the medicine down is a little easier. I don't let him take the jar from his muzzle until he swallows it all. You done yet? He nods. Good. Now why the hell did you drink Harlan's water? He doesn't answer immediately. You knew that he was poisoning us, didn't you? Yes, but I knew that you knew. But you weren't sure. I was pretty sure. Sure enough that Ralph wouldn't drink either. Ralph drank. What? He knew that it was poison too, but Harlan watched him. He ended up swallowing some water too before he could spit. He looks embarrassed. I wouldn't have swallowed if I knew that would happen. So why did you? The fox crosses his arms and leans against the wall, letting his tail wrap around him. A couple of reasons. Like? He waits a moment to speak again. I wanted to let him see that I swallowed, so that he would get confident. By drinking something that could have killed you? Might still kill you if Ralph is wrong about the kind of poison it was? If Ralph got a taste, I don't think that he'd be wrong. So why else? What are you leaving out? I wanted to test the effects down here. Of course you did. We know that there's something to that. Do we? Yes. If we alter ourselves, it can't alter us. Or what? It was tricking you into thinking that's how it worked, so that you'd willingly drink poison. Whatever's here wants you dead. Why? I don't know. What are you doing here? And that's where I'm going to leave it for today. So a lot has happened, and obviously there's a lot of stuff to talk about. For one, Harlan tried to poison everyone, and he got ganked by Blythe, who also saw him as James Hendricks the First, if I recall correctly, because this is sort of like a callback to Echo, where Carl Hendricks, spoilers, was being possessed by James Hendricks the First. And if you allow the possession to continue, then he ends up killing everyone. And I suspect that the person who Murdoch saw right before he fell unconscious was James Hendricks the First. And you might be going, well, how do you know that? Well, because the horns, the ram horns, and then again in Echo, the original story, when Carl is possessed, you see the horns. So yeah, the whole thing was like literally the same imagery. It's just because Harlan is taller, you see James Hendricks as taller, and because Carl is a little bit shorter and a little bit bulkier, you saw him like a little bit smaller, I guess. But like literally the whole imagery was the same. He's still on the bed and everything. Like literally it was exactly the same. And I'm curious how Blythe has that ability. I wonder if they're ever going to expand on that, but yeah. Now, there's the pit. So the pit has to do with what's going on in the town. And my guess is that it, along with like certain other things within the town, such as like the quartz pit in the mines, that all these things are sort of related. So yeah, and yeah, everything is related, I guess. And Murdoch, Sam is justified in being angry with Murdoch in the way that he's behaving, especially when like it was obvious that the canteen was poisoned and he still drank it. And then Murdoch being like, well, Ralph would have, been okay. He would have been able to whip up not the anti-poison, the cure or whatever. And he's like, no, he had to drink it too because Harlan knew that he was a chemist. And he's like, oh, oops. Like, yeah, oops, you would have died. And I wonder, what exactly was it that he was seeing? Was he actually seeing Seamus? Was that sort of manipulating him to try to kill himself, how Samuel said? Could it be like the same type of voice that Sam was hearing, or is that his own little inner demon, his own little echo, maybe? It's probably, what probably was going on with Sam was probably like the echo of Jack, who is the person that Sam kills at the beginning of the story, but yeah. And also poor Jim. You can kind of tell that he's sort of like done with this. Like, I mean, obviously everybody is done with what's going on, but he's sort of like done with the whole charade and everything. Like, even with his friends, he's sort of just like, oh my God, I want to get out of here already and just whatever. Like, you can tell his friends are not really his friends in the same sense of the word that you think a friend is. They're more of like these sort of kind of aggressive people that like to hang around you and they like to put each other down. And like, yeah, Jim's just like, I just want to go now. Whatever. The guy that I love doesn't love me back, and I'm just done. I don't want to deal with his sister either, who I was supposed to marry. But yeah. So the story ends on, well, not the video is gonna end on a cliff, on a cliff. What's the word? You know what I mean. But yeah, so I wonder who else is in the tunnels now in this underground area. Anyway, so write down in the comments what you think so far of the Murdoch ending. And yeah, thank you for watching. And if you would like to play the Smoke Room yourself, you can do so by going down to the link in the description, or you can download and play the game yourself. If you would like to support the Goodnight Fellowship, which is the new team that is writing the Smoke Room, because it is now separate from Echo Projects because of stuff, I will be linking down for their subscribe star, because they don't use Patreon, because it is a bit more, I don't want to say lenient with mature stuff, but I mean, it doesn't cause a huge stink like Patreon does lately, so yeah. And if you would like to support the channel, consider becoming a channel member, which gives you earlier access to these videos as they're being scheduled. This should come up on the 20th. I wanted to bring it up now on the 19th, but it's already late, so yeah, whatever. It's gonna come out on the 20th when you guys wake up, if you're from the US or the North American continent. And if you can't support through channel memberships, consider supporting through Ko-fi. Any form of support is appreciated. Just give the video a like or subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You can tell I'm tired, by the way. And I do have a throne in case you're feeling overly generous, so whatever. Anyway, so I guess that's it for now, and I will see you in the conclusion of the Murdoch route.